Welcome back. While Eskom's still in the hot seat at the state capture inquiry, large parts of Johannesburg have been plunged into darkness, as we told you a bit earlier. Today, the quality of coal supplied to the embattled utility topped the agenda. eNCA's Erin Bates was at the inquiry and joins us now live from outside because it's closed and she's still there. Erin, Eskom's Gert Opperman has testified he signed off the processing of the 600 million rand advance to Tegeta a month after the fact. Advocate Vincent Maleka, of course, suggested he was covering up tracks. What was his response?
Yes, Shahan, I'm out here with Tebogo and Neo bearing the brunt of this cold weather. And you're quite right on that 600 million rand prepayment, which Eskom made to Tegeta in April of 2016. This for coal that it was due to get from Optimum. But there was a bit of tricking the system on Snehal Naga's testimony earlier this week, something that Optimum corroborated today. And when Advocate Maleka said to him, well, it seems as though you were covering up tracks, the fact that Opperman signed off in May of 2016, some paperwork linked to that transaction. He created a new order number for the Optimum prepayment of 600 million rand. Opperman said, well, I wasn't covering up my tracks. But on the whole, Shahan, he was quite wary of speculating too much and timid, you could also say, maybe prudent, but really unwilling to go into why exactly all of these peculiar things were happening over that prepayment.
And Opperman's also suggested Eskom never had a guarantee from Tegeta, which the parastatal required as surety when the mine changed ownership.
Yes, and that's still kind of tentative. Opperman says, to his knowledge, based on the information he has, Eskom never received a guarantee from Tegeta. Why is that important? Well, according to Advocate Maleka leading the evidence of Opperman, this was required. It was a statutory requirement that Eskom had this guarantee when Optimum's ownership changed over from Glencore to Tegeta. It's a kind of surety or security for the parastatal when ownership changes hands. And yet, on Opperman's information, to this day, no guarantee was supplied to Eskom by Tegeta.
Maleka has argued, of course, that Eskom changed its tune once Optimum was under Tegeta ownership, but the problems with coal supply predate that. Tell us how.
Yes, Shahan. So the issue there is that Glencore was subject to a number of penalties over the subpar coal supply to Hendrina Power Station, which is just next door to Optimum. They have conveyor belts, for example, which were ferrying the coal from Optimum to Hendrina, and there were issues over the abrasion indexes rather, on the coal supply, and also the sizing of the coal. So there was a bit of back and forth where Optimum under Glencore ownership tried to negotiate to get a concession on certain penalties because it seemed that the coal supply was just dipping in terms of quality. And here's a little more detail on that from today's proceedings.
Mr. Oberman, it is quite clear from what we have discussed. It is quite clear from the change of ownership that one set of owners were treated fundamentally different to another set of owners by Eskom. Do you agree?
I agree.
Yes. You also agree that because of that difference of treatment, the one set of owners, which is Glencore, was forced to take the radical decision of declaring a hardship, which led to an arbitration. Do you also agree that as a result of that difference in treatment, Glencore had to put Optimum Coal Mine into a business rescue?
I agree, Chair.
Yes. And do you also agree that in regard to the new owner, Eskom extended favorable treatment totally different to that of Glencore? In that context, I'd like you to comment on the following. One, do you agree that Eskom accommodated the financial and operating difficulties that Optimum experienced after Tegeta took over?
Definitely yes.
Well, Erin, of course, we know that the focus has been on Eskom for a while now. What happens next week?
Well, the show is not over yet when it comes to Eskom at the Zondo Commission. Shahan, on Monday, Opperman resumes with further testimony. I think it's important to note that he's effectively implicated himself in signing off the paperwork around that prepayment, which could be something that will come back to bite him. There's certainly concerns as well. He cited Matsela Koko and referred to documents that include his signature or someone signing on Koko's behalf. Opperman returns on Monday to focus on Brakfontein, which was another mine owned by Tegeta, and then we're due to hear from a former colleague of his at Eskom with further details on, yet again, coal supply to the power utility.
Yeah, you'll be monitoring that for us. Our reporter Erin Bates is in Parktown.